What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Settle down. Settle down. We are live here, back on the podcast, 7 more days, where every day is another chance at winning. We don't take L's, we only keep living. That's right, you heard it here first. This is our newly found model here on this podcast. And this episode, we're going to be talking about something that has been crucial to me and what I've been experiencing for the past few months, going on years now in my own life. I said years, going on a year now in my own life. And so I also have a short story I want to tell with it that I really think God has given me this newly found perspective of what he means when he says Immanuel and that he's always with us. So settle in, get you some popcorn, a snack, whatever. Get your friends over. It might just be you listening by yourself. And let's get into this. So, this is episode number 2. And the title and the topic at hand is Not Alone. For starters, we're going to be taking a new direction here on the show. And I'm going to always start things off with a biblical scripture that caters towards the topic at hand or whatever it is that we're talking about. And so this one is actually going to be coming from Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 8. And I'm also going to be reading this from the NLT version. And it reads, "Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you." So based off of this scripture right here, you can kind of understand where I'm coming from when I say not alone. So like I said, I have a story to tell. But before I get into that, I just want you to sit back. I want you to open your mind, open your metaphorical thinking to not think so literal when I'm telling you these things, what these things are happening, but also think spiritually and think of how you can apply this to your everyday life, because that's the purpose of this podcast. 7 more days. We're going to apply these different things, these new ideas, just these words that are given from God to us and apply it daily, because no one is perfect, yet we are going to strive to be the best that we can be. All right, so going a little bit into my own personal background, I am 22 years old and I also have a 1-year-old son. And so one night, me and my son, we're getting ready for bed. Hours go by and we're still trying to go to sleep. So, I turn the TV off. It's just dark in the room now. And it's about 11, 12 o'clock at night, like way past his bedtime. So me and him are just looking at each other in the dark, just laying there. We're just making eye contact, just sitting there staring at each other, having a stare contest. And so after a while, it starts getting hot. So I lift one leg over the covers. You know how you do when it's like, when you try to get that medium temperature whenever you go to sleep. So you put one leg over the cover, you got the other one underneath. So I did that. But him, on the other hand, he was just on top of the covers. And so I'm tossing and turning, he's tossing and turning. And if you ever slept with someone or next to someone, you kind of know what it feels like to get that cold shoulder. And I mean, if you don't know, it's basically when they turn their back towards you while you sleep. And it's like you just feel that you just feel it. And so my son, he's very observant. He's a very observant little dude. And so whenever I decide to turn to the other side, with my back towards him, he'll get up and then starts laying on me, or he'll push me and then he start pulling me. And basically he was just trying to get my attention to turn back around to face him because he felt that cold shoulder. So at this point, I'm like, all right, this ain't working. So I get up. Keep in mind, it's still dark. It's 11, 12 o'clock at night. The lights are off. But our eyes are adjusted enough so that we can still see each other. And there's a few lights coming from my computer and stuff. So, but he's still laying in bed, and he's just basically just looking at me standing up now at this point. So, I reach my hand out, and he knows whenever I do that, it means to come here. So now he starts crawling out the bed. And, I open the door and I start walking towards the kitchen. So now I'm setting the scene. The way my apartment is built or set up, there is a straight and narrow hallway from my room to the kitchen living area. And in that hallway, to the left, there's the bathroom. And then to the right, there's the playroom because I have a 2-bedroom apartment. So I have my bedroom, you keep walking, and then to your right, it is the playroom. You keep walking, then it's the bathroom, and then you keep walking straight, and it's the living room area, and then the kitchen. So I had previously gave my son a bath that night. So when I had walked out, the light in the bathroom was still on. So I guess I forgot to turn it off, but all the other lights in the apartment are off. So that's the only light that's like on, and everything else is just like dark. So, I start walking down the hallway, and he's right behind me. So I told you how my apartment is set up. So I'm walking straight down the hallway. I finally reached the kitchen and I opened the refrigerator. And, I bend down, I grabbed 2 juice boxes, one for him, one for me. And then I look back and the kid is gone. Like, he's just gone. Straight vanished out of sight. This whole time I'm thinking, like, he's right behind me. And then, like, I look and this he's gone. So, of course, I know where he is. He's in the bathroom. But at that moment, I'm like, yo, where did this boy go? Like, I know he saw me. Like, he was right behind me. So, I put the juice boxes down. I go in the bathroom and I find him staring in the tub at his toys that were left in there from his bath. Now, just imagine, you walk into the bathroom and you seeing this short little dude. He's just standing there looking in the tub. Now, the kid ain't saying nothing. Like, he just standing there like straight statue, looking down in the tub at all his toys. So in my mind, I'm like, what in the world is he thinking? Because he ain't saying nothing. He ain't moving. He just looking. But anyways, I finally get his attention. And then we walk out the bathroom and we go back towards the kitchen. So I grab the juice boxes. I lean down. I give him one of them. And I start to tell him how sometimes at night when I was little, I couldn't sleep. And when I couldn't sleep, I would go into the kitchen and I would grab something to drink. And if it worked for me, maybe it would work for him too. And this whole time, he's just looking up at me while I'm just having this whole conversation with him. So anyways, we both finish our juices. And then we walk back into my room. We lay down and we're both out like a light. So basically, it worked. It worked for me. It still worked for him. It worked for my seed. Now, while all this was happening, spiritually, God was ministering to me in my life and what even I was going through in that moment. You see, because like oftentimes we can get off track and off that straight and narrow path, or at least in my son's case, the hallway that God is trying to lead us through. And we get so easily distracted by things, old things, while he just wants us to have our eyes on him. Because that whole time, I'm like, yo, did he not just see me walk straight? And then here he go into the bathroom. And I turn around and the kid is gone. And even like that, we get stuck like a statue, just like my son was. Too busy looking at all the mishaps, the mistakes, the issues, doubts, worries, the toys in the tub, those things that we used to play with and tempt us, all the old necessities that God previously just washed us and bathed us from, because I gave him a bath. So that's why those stuff was still in there and the light was still on. And so it's like God, he's trying to lead us to that land of milk and honey, or in my case, the refrigerator with milk and juice boxes. And then, we get swayed off the straight and narrow path to do something completely different. And if you think about it, you see, during that time that my son was in the bathroom looking down at them toys, he was on his own. He left me. He strayed elsewhere. Anything could have happened to him in that moment. I mean, not much can happen in the bathroom, but you see what I'm saying, like figuratively speaking. But it's important to know that even though he was on his own, he was not alone. So what do I mean by that? Well, because I was still there. Like I was still in the building. At any moment in time, if he would have cried out, Daddy, or said something, I would have came back and to get him. But if you think about it, it also would have taken me some time to get there because I'm further away from where he is, from where he's calling me from. He's in the bathroom, I'm in the kitchen. So it's going to take me time to get there. And a lot of times we as people and followers do that exact same thing. We get stuck and then we start crying out for God, like to help us. We start praying, we start doing all this and that. We get back in church, we start try to realign ourselves, and then we wonder why it takes him so long to show up and do something in our life. Well, it's because he's all the way out here from where we left him, and he's still expecting us to have basically, followed him. And so we ourselves are at fault, but it's just such an important scenario because in that moment, we have no choice but to wait on him because it's our fault. We did that. And a lot of us are too impatient. Like we're very impatient. I can speak for myself that I'm impatient. That once we get somewhere else, and by that time that Jesus finally gets to us, we're in a whole nother location and more lost than before because we can't wait on him. So had my son called me at that point, it would have been up to me on like how long I wanted to take to get back there and get him. Because I could have ran and got him. I could have walked. I could have even waited 40 seconds, or in Israel terms, 40 years, to finally get to him. But even still, though he was on his own, he was not alone because I was in the building. I would have heard his cry. I knew exactly where he was at. I even saw him. Like not literally, but like mentally, because I know my apartment. I know what the bathroom looks like. I've been in there. And God is saying he sees and knows what your situation looks like. He's omnipotent. He's already been there. You are not alone. You may be on your own, but just understand that you are not alone. And I think it's really important for us to grasp this understanding of that, because if we do, there would be a lot more saved souls than lost ones who give up, at a bat's eye after the first prayer doesn't work, or, after you start going to church and you start reading the Bible, or, it is not going to happen like that. After 40 days and nights in the belly of a fish, or 40 years of no decent food in the wilderness, all because we strayed. So, it's definitely a needed process because it's humbling, but we are all bound to go through it because we're all a mess, and, we all make mistakes. Luckily, Jesus, he was willing to put himself in the wilderness, that wilderness state for us, to show us how to overcome it, and better yet, overcome it through him. And I'm actually working on an album. I'm working on, it was an EP, but at this point it's an album called Wilderness. And, it's dedicated just to that scenario, that state that all of us have gone through, or if not, are going to go through. Because for a while in my life, I felt alone. And it wasn't until a little afterwards that I realized that I was just confusing myself for being on my own with being alone. You are not alone, Immanuel, because God is always with you. There's always a new day. There's always another day. Just the fact that you woke up again just shows that you're here for a reason. Do something with that opportunity. There's 7 days in a week. Say for instance that those 7 days don't work out. Well, guess what? There's 7 more days to come. And that's what we do here. That's what we're doing here. We're here to motivate you, to keep you going, to uplift you, and to help you understand that you're not alone in this. Nobody's perfect. We're not perfect. I can say that right now. But we strive to be. And it's important that we strive to be so that we can be the best that we can be. So that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Episode 2, Not Alone. Don't forget to share this with somebody. Give it a shout out. And hopefully it can impact somebody else if it impacted you. So thank you, and I will see you guys on the next episode.